So welcome everyone. My name is Donalisa Stinyard and I'm the program director with the Center for Women Entrepreneurs at Texas Women's University. This is our first episode of our Women Founders Instagram TV Entrepreneur Series, where we talk with women who have founded their own business and hear from them about their business, strategies, and the tools that they've used to build their businesses. And I am so excited that today in our first episode, we have Carrie Breedlove. Carrie, welcome to this Women Founders Instagram TV Entrepreneur Series.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be able to be the first to be a part of this.
Yes, this is so exciting. And this is an opportunity for us to showcase women here in the state of Texas that are building their business and really just kind of be some inspiration and provoke some new thoughts and stuff for other women that are getting ready to start their business or maybe already in working their business. So Carrie, can you tell us the name of your business and a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I'm Carrie Breedlove. I am a licensed professional counselor and I see women going through life transition and life loss, and I provide Christian-based counseling. And my business name, actually, I'm a dual business owner. So my business that I am running more full-time right now is my counseling practice, which is Breedlove Counseling. And my secondary business is Breedlove and Beauty, which is a makeup and skincare business that I have as well.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit, Carrie, about kind of how you've married those two together.
Yeah, so I started out not having an idea to be an entrepreneur. I'm actually married to an entrepreneur. My husband is the risk taker of the family. And so I just happened upon a skincare makeup company that I ended up trying their products, loved them. My makeup didn't come off all day. And I was like, I love this stuff. I'm going to start using it more. And so it just morphed into a business of its own to be able to share that and sell it to others. And never thought I would do something like that. I had never done anything like that before, but I just loved it. And I was at a season in my life when it was just a good timing for me to do that. And then I was working through a different organization and felt like it was just time to spread my wings into private practice. I had been doing I'd been working in outpatient mental health for many years, for about 15 years at that point, and it felt like, well, maybe it's a little bit more than that, maybe it's closer to 17 years. And I was like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to do my own thing. So I decided to start the counseling practice. And along the way, as I was building the counseling practice and figuring out how to get it set up and everything, I'm still doing the makeup stuff on the side. And I just realized that if I'm going to keep doing this makeup stuff, it's going to have a bigger purpose surrounding it, that I like to do something that has a deeper meaning to it. And I know in the business world, they often call that your why. And so my why ended up being in the beauty business side of things, that I wanted to funnel some of the profits of that business into a counseling scholarship fund for women who would come across my path in my counseling practice who were in need of short-term counseling, but really couldn't afford it. And I'm a private pay counselor, and so I don't take insurance. So I felt like this would be a really great way to bring the businesses together and allow one business to support me being able to see people that I really wanted to be able to see and to be able to help, because women need counseling in such, it's really important, and a lot of women just don't have access.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting how I think when we step into entrepreneurship, we first look at it about building a business and doing those key things. But I think the more we step into it, we realize that we're in there because of a passion and a deep and we want a deeper meaning to our life and to what we're bringing out or providing to the world. And I have to tell you that in following you on Instagram and just kind of watching you build your business, that's been one of my most favorite things, is that you've married these two things together, and how the beauty piece of it is an avenue for you to be able to be a blessing to other women in the community that maybe couldn't partake in counseling. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that when people purchase something from me, then they know they're a part of that too. And that I've always liked that when I'm purchasing a piece of jewelry or a clothing piece or something, it's always nice when you know there's a bigger mission behind it and you get a feel of you're supporting that mission and you're part of it too. And that is a good feeling as a consumer.
Yeah, I completely agree. So when you were sharing your story, you shared that your husband was an entrepreneur and he was the risk taker. So I'm just curious, like, so not being a big risk taker yourself, what is your greatest fear and how do you manage that fear?
Yeah, so I don't know that I was necessarily afraid of starting the business. I don't feel like that's where my fears came out necessarily, but I realized very early on with the beauty business that because I wanted to run it online and that was something I really wanted to do. I saw other people doing that. And I was honestly, it may seem strange to say it now, but so many years later, but I was really petrified of doing live video and getting on camera and talking spontaneously and showing up in this virtual kind of space. It was a huge fear of mine because I felt it was honestly really the fear of what other people thought, because I thought, well, everybody just kind of knows me as the person who's been in the counseling space and the mental health space. And here I'm going to show up doing makeup tutorials. That just seems weird. But I love doing makeup stuff myself. I just wasn't doing it publicly. And so that was a really big hurdle for me to overcome. And I'll tell you the really couple of key things that helped me in that process. And for anyone who's watching this back and is thinking, I want to do something, I know I need to get in the virtual space. One thing that really helped me was to link up with other people who had the same kind of fear, the same kind of struggle, and they were working towards getting through that and building their confidence, for example, on live video. And then I connected up with something that was structured. So I began participating in live video challenges. 30-day live video challenge, 2-week live video challenge. I did a bunch of 30-day video challenges back to back to back to back over the course of about a year or so. And then I just started doing them on my own. Okay, I'm going to do this for the next 30 days or this for the whatever, and really challenge myself in that space to continue to show up with the thing that was difficult for me until I felt comfortable. And it eventually happened.
Yeah, that's so great. And I think so anybody that's watching this, if you're really looking for some inspiration on really how to step out there in the video, I would highly encourage you to follow Carrie on Instagram. She's consistent. I know oftentimes, or we talk a lot about consistency is key. You've always got to show up whether you feel like it or not, and you're always there, and it's always this great balance between sharing some beauty stuff, you share some counseling stuff, and then you do have a star guest that comes out quite often. So Carrie does share a lot of her cat and her experiences with that, so it's been really fun to kind of watch that. So Carrie, what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Breedlove, the letter N, beauty, Breedlove in beauty.
Yeah, so I highly recommend checking her out and getting some inspiration on really how to step into doing the video. Um, so Carrie, I know especially with you in the counseling space, we've all learned that success means different things for different people. So how do you define success?
Yeah, and I think that's really important to think about what is your definition of success, and then think about is that definition something you want to hold on to or not? Because a lot of times we may think, okay, if I tie my success to how many clients I have in a week, or how much what my bank account is looking like, my bottom line, some of those things are a result of other things that I'm doing, but that are actually out of my control. I can't control when someone's going to purchase a beauty product from me. I can't control if a client is going to cancel or not cancel, or they're going to get sick, or a polar vortex is going to happen, or a pandemic, So I can't attach my success to some of those things. And what I found for myself to be more helpful in the area of thinking about success is making it either more specific or more general. And that may seem kind of weird because I just said something that's kind of opposite of each other. But I will think of, okay, what is something that I can do today? How can I show up today? Can I do an Insta story today? Yes, I can. It doesn't require anybody else for me to do that. Can I show up and work on a blog post? Or can I show up and work on some of my accounting or my back end office kind of things? There are specific things that I can do. And so how, like you were saying earlier, showing up consistently, I can go to a networking meeting, I can meet someone, I can set up a one-on-one appointment. These are things that I can look at just day by day. And that in itself is a success, that I chose to show up this morning for a networking meeting at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm not really a morning person, you know. And then in a global, kind of a more broad sense, for me personally as a Christian, and that is a huge piece of not only my business, but also just my life, is looking at, was I able to love God and love others today? What's one small way that I can do that? And I know that I can do that regardless of whether I have a client sitting in front of me that's paying me. So I like to look at it in both of those categories. And that gives me a feeling of I am doing well when I'm able to do those things.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. So you brought up the pandemic. So I know we are getting ready to, in just a week or so, we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary of COVID pandemic. Can you believe that?
It's amazing.
And so it wouldn't be an interview if I didn't ask you. So how has COVID affected your business, and what have you done to overcome those challenges?
Well, for all counselors out there, there is a great majority of counselors when the pandemic hit that were doing 100% in-person counseling. And obviously that's going to be affected. There are some counselors out there, even prior to the pandemic, that were 100% virtual. Believe it or not. There's a whole group of online counselors, which is wonderful. I was doing basically 100% in-person counseling. So it required a very strong and quick pivot to begin to do virtual counseling. However, I had already been working on feeling comfortable on video, a variety of different things that would support what I ended up doing. So I was grateful and just blessed and thankful to have already gotten myself situated and even prepared with certain types of paperwork that I needed to have done. There was a lot of counselors that struggled in that moment of like, oh my goodness, right now I'm going to have to start creating, oh, what's my online policies and procedures and things like that. And gratefully, I had already had those things in place and had done a couple of online sessions. So I had to pivot the entire business to being virtual. And gratefully, again, just my clients were willing to follow me in that, and they were needing to do it too. So we're like, let's do this together. Let's figure this out. And so it ended up being a pretty smooth transition for me personally. I think mostly because I was already comfortable and somewhat prepared even for being in the online space.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were all challenged in those moments. And so I'm just curious, like, so when, I'm not sure if the pandemic will ever be over, or we'll ever, I don't think we'll ever return to normal. We're all searching for a new normal. Do you feel like that you will continue with the virtual counseling? Has that maybe opened up some doors that you hadn't been exposed to before?
Yeah, it was really interesting because when I had to do that, it really helped me to realize that where I had been currently offering in-person counseling, I had some limitations on days of the week that I could be there. I was renting a space and I could only be there certain days and certain times. And it was rather limiting on what I wanted to do. And so I realized, oh, I can actually be available like 6 days a week if I want to, just virtually. So that really helped expand my thinking around my business and actually helped me to feel more confident, because then I could go into my website and put down, yeah, these are all the hours, instead of like just these small chunks of time that I could do in-person counseling at that location. And then as a result of showing up consistently and networking with people, it was a direct result of networking, specifically starting with TWU and the Center for Women Entrepreneurs networking events, that I ended up meeting people who eventually, interestingly enough, like a year later, well before the pandemic, I had met certain contacts, and then well into the pandemic, reconnected with them. And one person talks to another person, talks to another person. And then it opened up for me to have another location in person once we were able to start opening up and getting back in person again. So now I've been able to transition to doing, I'd say, about half and half, with maybe a little bit more on the side of in person now. But I will absolutely continue to do telehealth, because someone gets sick, someone wakes up late. I had a client one time that woke up late and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm supposed to be in person. Can we do virtual? Absolutely. I don't have to miss out on that client or that income, because I have the ability to instantly switch from one to the other and offer that flexibility to people.
Yeah, it's amazing how something that I think we were all kind of hesitant to do, and hesitant to step into has really kind of just exploded and become something that we never thought it would ever be. So kind of like the silver lining to the very dark cloud that that is the pandemic. So I'd like to switch focus a little bit and talk about female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. That's comes with its own challenges. And so, what are some of the daily challenges that you face as a female entrepreneur?
I think that gratefully, just in the counseling space, there's a lot of female counselors, probably more so than men. And so I don't personally feel like there's a lot of just direct pressure on me as a female necessarily. But I can see how, just with a variety of different businesses, depending on what kind of space you're in, that could definitely be a huge challenge. And I think that in those spaces, it becomes crucial for you to have a group of women that you can share that struggle with, and that you can be encouraged by and given practical tools, and honestly just the camaraderie, I think, is really key and important to being able to persevere in really difficult spaces depending on what industry that you're in.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. It's there's power in numbers, and so it's great when you can band together with other women who are also working their business, and being able to share those challenges, and of course celebrate those big moments, right? To
That's
have
right.
that camaraderie to do that.
Well, and I thought of one more thing too. I will say another challenge to being a female entrepreneur is even sometimes how your spouse may view your work. And even though my husband's an entrepreneur and totally supports what I'm doing, there has been even a difficulty of seeing, like, oh, you're at home, you're working at home sometimes, so maybe you can also do these other things, on the side. And having to create boundaries, not only for yourself, but also to explain what your work looks like to your partner, to your family, to even maybe roommates if you're in a roommate situation, so that the other person has more of a feel of what work life looks like for you, especially if you happen to be working from home. And it's crucial for you as well, because sometimes you can say to yourself, oh, I need to get laundry done, or I need to get the dishes done, and having to really say no to some of those things so that you can stay focused in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are three tools or apps, books, podcasts, or the gamut there, would you recommend to anyone that's starting her own business?
Well, I will have to admit that I love reading, but I'm not a huge reader. I love the idea of podcasts, and I don't listen to as many of them as I'd like to. But there are some key people that I personally have followed, and I have really latched on to some of the trainings that are out there that help me personally, especially in building my business virtually and figuring out the marketing piece of my business. And that has been really helpful to me, because you can have an amazing program, an amazing service, an amazing product, but if nobody knows who you are, that's a problem. So marketing is such a huge piece to your business. And I have found that following certain individuals, and I'll tell you who I personally have followed and have enjoyed learning from, on Instagram, my go-to is Jasmine Star. She does a lot. She's a photographer, but also an entrepreneur, and as a coach in the entrepreneur space virtually for people. And so I have found a lot of great free content even from her that has been instrumental, super creative, and getting your own wheels turning in your business. On Facebook, I initially started out with John and Nadia Melton, as well as Fallon Zoe. And both of those, and there's a lot of different coaches out there, those are just the ones that I ended up gravitating towards that helped me establish some of the key components in my business. And then as far as apps, I adore PixArt. So you're going to be, unless you outsource it, and you may do that, which is maybe the better option for people. But I love creating graphics. You're going to have to be able to do some graphic creation sometimes, especially in the early stages when maybe you don't have money to pay someone else to do that. And so being able to toy around with PixArt and PhotoGrid and some of those apps out there that help you to just make a little banner for yourself, make something that you can put out there to advertise your business. So I've really appreciated using those, as well as a couple of apps for video tools. The Quick GoPro video app is really fun and easy to use. And I've loved being able just to make little quick videos, even using that app for myself and to promote what I'm doing.
Yeah, those are all really great resources. So Carrie, could you share, I know that you've come to a lot of our networking events and attended a lot of our events. So can you share with everybody kind of just how the Center for Women Entrepreneurs has helped you step into your business, grow your business?
Yeah, I think this right now, what we're doing is an interesting culmination of where I started with TW. And that was meeting Tracy at a networking event that someone else had invited me to, I think. And even just learning about what you guys did and who you were, and that the resources were free, I was blown away. I'm like, how have I never heard about this? And so then starting to come to those networking events was so crucial. I met so many just wonderful women, continue to do that, and how you have provided those opportunities virtually, monthly. I've loved that. And I have met so many people through that process that have just helped me along the way, whether it was just a word of encouragement or a great referral source, or me being able to refer somebody to them even. And so just those networking events have been so crucial. Even just the different speakers that would come and learning key information about business, the business series that you guys offered and allowed for people who were not even part of the scholarship program that you guys do to come and attend. And I did that, and those were great. So sometimes in those early stages when you don't have the clients, or you're trying to figure out what to do with your time, being able to fill it with networking opportunities and educational opportunities really helps you feel like you're still doing something while you're trying to wait for those referrals to come in and start making some income.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been so awesome to be able to provide those resources for our community, and looking forward to expanding those in the future. So last question, Carrie, if you had one piece of advice, somebody's watching this and they're on the fence about jumping into entrepreneurship, or maybe they just started, what is one piece of advice that you would want to give her as she's watching this video?
I think it's really important that you realize that the idea that you're having in your mind, the why that you have, is so valid. It is so important. And there is someone out there that is waiting and is desperate for what you have to offer. And so you want to get out there and do what you're passionate about doing, because there is someone out there that needs that right now, and they are looking for you, and you're here. You just got to show up so they can find you. And so I would encourage you to know that whatever it is that you have in your heart to do, it is worth putting out there. It is worth doing. And to find a band of other women, whether it be through TWU or other Facebook groups and things, that you can find that encouragement to persevere in those early stages of figuring things out, and not to give up what you're doing, regardless of the challenge that you face, because it is worth it. And you will be so glad that you didn't stop.
Such good advice. I love it. So real quick, Carrie, where can they find you again?
Yeah, so you can find me in a couple of different places. On Instagram, I'm Breedlove and Beauty, Breedlove in the letter N, Beauty, Breedlove and Beauty on Instagram. And then on Facebook, I also have a Breedlove and Beauty page, as well as a private group. And then, of course, Breedlove Counseling. I have a page on Facebook, Breedlove Counseling, and then also my website, breedlovecounseling.com.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for being with us today. And we just love watching everything that you're doing. And you are an inspirational woman. And again, if anybody is looking for some inspiration, go and find Carrie. She's worth the watch.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you to TWU and all that you guys are doing. It has been instrumental in my business, and I know that it will be in all the lives of the women who watch this video and connect with your resources. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for having me on.
All right, thanks.